I knew a taxi driver from Senegal and Winston-Salem that I'd always wanted to do a film about, but I didn't know what the film was or really what I was going to do, and so I wrote a treatment, and the ideas kind of started from there. Winston-Salem is my hometown, so it's my first film, not in New York, not in an urban setting, but in a suburban and southern setting. And that was exciting also because it gave me a chance in the end to get to the landscape, to get to the mountains of Blowing Rock, which was a critical location and kind of what gave me the hope that this film could be something, was when I thought about the ending at Blowing Rock.
Yo, I don't get it, man. Isn't it better to go to a motel first, drop off your luggages?
Why am I with you again? How come it's always you that picks me up?
Because I'm your driver now. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, I have this I wanted to give back to you.
What's this?
Come on, man. Last time you were just upset, so I saved it for you.
Going a long time, even farther back than 2005, around 2003, 2004, I was playing in a pickup soccer match with my brother. We'd always played soccer together in North Carolina, and I noticed there were a lot of African guys playing, and that was different. That had not been the case before. And I noticed a lot of taxis parked near the soccer field, and I was thinking to myself, oh, taxi drivers, Africans. I started to figure out that taxi drivers in Winston were African, or a lot of them were, and specifically in Winston-Salem, Senegalese. And this one particular driver who was very charming, very friendly, I later saw him in a gas station. He worked a second job there. And I came to learn at that time that while he was a taxi driver, he didn't actually own a car, and that if he wanted to get around town, he'd have to hire a taxi or walk. And I thought to myself, this is a really interesting subject and could be a film. And I kind of combined that with the idea of an elderly man. When I lived with my brother in North Carolina, I would drive by two assisted living homes, and I started to wave at this one old man who was standing by the side of the road, which is kind of weird. Again, in suburbia, you don't stand by the road. And he would get really happy and wave back at me, which made me happy, but also made me really sad. I was thinking, what kind of life in general do we have for elderly people in America, which was quite different from my Iranian background. My parents are both from Iran, and you quite take care of the elderly, they live with you, and that matched also Senegalese culture. So I thought in my mind of putting these two men in the taxi together, the idea of William wanting to commit suicide and of Solo wanting to stop that, and the final destination of Blowing Rock, which is a real-life place I used to go to as a kid. It's known for its incredibly powerful wind, and that gave the possibility of something metaphysical, especially if I shot, which I planned to shoot it, and I did shoot it in the autumn, which Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina is known as one of the most scenic places in America. And there's an explosion of colors for the autumn, changing the leaves and a very magical fog. And so then in the end you have this kind of really beautiful location.
Yo, I have this one like for a month, a week after it was broken. And I don't even want it. I don't want to drive a cab. I've been doing that for 3 years. I don't want to drive a cab. I give her my flight attendant thing. She goes through my stuff and she doesn't want to believe me. Ça, c'est pas juste. Ça, c'est pas juste. C'est pas normal, ça.
You have any unsalted butter and mushrooms? I want to make an omelet.
Of course, audiences should take whatever they like. I don't want to limit or dictate what they should take. But that being said, I do think that a big part of what the film is about is a conception of love. And what does it mean to love someone? And in this case, specifically, it's about loving someone selflessly, which here in the film, Solo's really trying to stop William from leaving and leaving permanently. And by the end of the film, he seems to be doing the opposite of that. He's prepared to take that person, which is a very hard thing to do. If someone you love very much decides one day to leave and doesn't give you an explanation, and you know they care about you, you know that they care about you, and they still want to go, most people say, you're a selfish person, you should stay. But actually, if you love that person, you should help them do what they want, even if it hurts you, if it's really what they want. And that's not something most of us are prepared to do in our own lives. And in fact, the conception of love, and the idea of what it means to love, is radically different in our culture and in our art. Going to Romeo and Juliet, Wuthering Heights, L'amour fou, we all want passionate love stories that involve usually destruction, hurting yourself and hurting the other person. And this is something different. This is about a selfless love, of loving someone else more. And how is it that a taxi driver could do that? By which I mean, how is it that a guy you don't know who he is, not Will Smith, some guy named Suleiman Sisavani, named Solo, a taxi driver in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, just a normal guy like us, just getting by paycheck to paycheck, simple life, nothing special about him, could do something so big. If I see it in the film, then I think to myself, maybe I could do that. So then I hope that maybe the audience says, well, maybe I could do that too.